Hello, people. We're back again on another sizzling Wednesday in the tropical heat of Alvayazra.
Oh, you're so poetic. You really are.
Well, it's a bit
You're a bard himself.
I'm
And
always
in that shirt.
in that shirt. I won't try and move too much because it might fizz.
Yeah, it might. Oh.
A little bit of cheese, aren't they?
Meanwhile, I am subtly camouflaged into the background.
Terence,
to lurch
Terence
out.
the chameleon.
Yes.
The chameleon himself.
He's always been a bit of a comedian.
No, chameleon.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Right. Probably going to do things a little bit different tonight. But before we launch into our on-screen guests, just want to say a couple of things. Now, the object of this program, as we've always gone along, is to share information. It's to share events. It's to share local businesses. It's to share and interact between each other. You know, it's an interconnect. Whereas the Facebook group is a local group, this one is national and sometimes even international, hence the Interconnect. So from time to time, we do feature on businesses and events, festas, that sort of thing. And tonight will be no different. But it's going to be a little bit self-serving tonight. It's about time, I think, I kind of brought it home and gave homage to some of the guys around me who work and tirelessly to get this program out and gone. So forgive a bit of self-indulgence here, but I think we're worth it. We're going to give it a go. And it's got an air of youth about it because, it's not just old codgers like you and I.
Speak for yourself.
There are us young people in the country who probably are the future of Portugal, and they should be.
God bless them.
God bless them. They should be, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to involve.
Look to the future.
So, what we've got on the cooker tonight, then, Tezza?
Well, it's quite exciting for me because later on, towards the end of the show, we've got a 15-year-old lady.
Yeah, I think she's still
15-year-old girl who's a bit of a genius artistically wise. And does some wonderful work, which we'd like to sort of talk to her about. And I think at 15, that's a bit of a magnificent sort of skill to have. And she's a bit precocious and a bit of a genius. So it's always nice to have one of those on your show. And the other thing is that we're going to do a little comparison, I think, between central Portugal and also other destinations in Portugal. And really, what's the cream of the crop when in terms of life here and buying property? What does it offer? What's the magnetism that can draw people? And when you come here, what should you expect? So I'm looking forward to a lot of facts and figures. And we've been out, haven't we, doing a little bit of filming today?
Oh, we have.
Yeah, doing a bit of interviewing with a lady called Susan, who's a delight. Was she German Swiss?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, German
Ben,
Swiss.
Ben will tell us more about
and Ben Austin, who has a little bit of news to tell you about also, and pretty much we can talk about what we did today, which we visited a place in, where was it?
I've forgotten the name of the place. I can't. Again, Ben will fill us in because he's.
It's gone.
It's gone.
But that
all I know,
when we're this age.
All I can see is a camera eye socket piece in my mind. But the other thing I wanted to say on top of all of this program won't work unless there is a certain amount of sharing going on. And what I really want the people to do watching this is share it with each other as far and as wide as you can. Because if a plant doesn't get water, it will wither and die. And, I can only do so much. But it depends on you guys to expand the view more. So please do, if you can, share. To
expand the connection.
Expand the connection. Interconnect more. So
yeah.
That's what I'm asking you. And if you
contribute more, interconnect more, gain more.
That's exactly what it is. And, it's a live program and anybody is welcome to come in. I'll try and leave a window open for anybody who wants to, join us and make a comment. Or you can ask comments in the little comment box at the corner, which appear. Either way, get as much as you can from the program. That's what I'm saying to you.
Couldn't agree more. Get as much as you can from the program.
Smash and grab, let's do it.
There's a lot of open windows and smash and grabbing.
But that's what we're about.
You're going back to your old trade.
Imagine that. Right, we got a regular waiting in the wings. My other wingman over here is going to bring him on.
There he is, man himself.
Eric the Red.
Eric the Red.
From the glorious capital of Lisbon, who gives us the unique aspect, really. We're out in the middle, in the central Portugal, and it's nice to have somebody in a major city.
In a metropolis.
In a metropolis. So anybody from those regions, from the Lisbon, the Algarve,
Porto,
or anywhere else.
Coimbra.
Come on in and join us.
Come on in, yeah.
Come on in, come on down. In fact,
come on down.
What I will do, just for a while, I'll put the link up there. So if you click on that link, it's in the comment, and it's also there. So if you want to ask anything, or come on, please ask, and you'll be let in. So Eric, very quickly, mate, how's your week been? What have you been up to? Anything good?
Week's been pretty good. We were up in Villa de Can on Sunday, Monday, and part of Tuesday for their San Joao festival, which took place on Monday night, which went way into like 5 o'clock Tuesday morning. We got back to the apartment where we were staying that night. To give you any idea, the fireworks for the event only began at 1:30 a.m. on Tuesday morning, Monday night, kind of a thing. So yeah, we came home yesterday, and it was kind of a recovery day yesterday, and we're back to it in Lisbon today. Beautiful 21 degrees right now in the capital. Nice breeze blowing in. So
good. Life is perfect.
So life is good, and away we go.
Great. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that life is good and perfect. It has been a bit warm here today.
It's been warm, but not too bad. Like Eric said,
been.
I could wear a jacket quite comfortably.
You always do anyway, because you're that sort of
I'm
guy.
quite a jacket wearer. But yeah, I think it's important to be able to be somewhere where you can wear a jacket. And today was one of those days. So yeah, great. I love that. Just the right temperature, really. Not too hot, not too cold.
So on with our first guest, right? And it's been a bit of a puzzler for me, because our Ben, the Interconnect's Ben, has been very elusive lately. He's been coming and going. I've been looking up at the penthouse lights up there at the top of the house. Burning the midnight oil. I've seen shadows moving around.
Yes.
And it could have been anything, really. So he's here tonight to tell us what he's been up to. The big reveal is upon us. So, Benjamin, how are you, sir? Are you well?
How are we doing? I'm doing fine, thank you. A bit tired, to be honest, but we're doing well.
Good.
We've had a big day.
We did, yes. We were out there today, weren't we, doing the shoot, or one of the shoots.
Mm-hmm. So should we get him to briefly take us through the day, what it was all about?
Certainly can. It's over to you, Benjamin. The spotlight is now fully on you.
Okay, currently, we're working together as a team to orchestrate a video about what you can buy here in Portugal. What is a realistic expectation of something you can get in the current property market? Not just in central Portugal, but I'd like to do a little bit on the Silver Coast as well, a little bit in Lisbon, and just kind of give people an assessment of what is available to them. Because we hear all the time that the market's inflated, which, to be fair, it is in most regions of Portugal. But if you go somewhere like Castelo Branco, where we were today, it's not unrealistic to find a 5-bedroom house still going for less than 200,000. And you may think that's absolutely, for that price, it must be an absolute ruins, when in reality, a lot of them aren't. They're in very good condition, like we saw today.
So we were doing this together,
Mm-hmm.
out in the one old sun there. I'm not quite sure. Well, you look like you're going to burst into song there.
Yeah. Or take off in a kind of Superman fashion.
Yeah. But I always do enjoy working with you guys. It's always good fun. And I do believe, can I bring up the picture of the house we were doing today?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So that maybe you want to just say a little bit about that.
Yeah, talk us through that, Ben. What are we looking at here, and where is it?
So this was in Pernadas, which you guys tried to pronounce at the start of the episode. We'll work on that, don't worry.
We just forgot. We're just
in the private Portuguese lessons.
Pernadas,
yes, small village near Província in the Castelo Branco district. Quite a nice private area, still nice bit of communal spirit there. This house in particular is a T5+2, so it comes with a guest room as well. And it was going, if I remember correctly, about 180 grand. That's what you're getting for 5 bedrooms here.
Yeah, but what about the land as well?
Oh yeah, there was a good chunk of land on that as well.
Oh yeah, it was plenty. I can't remember the square meterage exactly. I did write it down in my notes, which I have left in the car.
Yeah, well,
Very
I mean,
useful. Very
it was
useful to be
pretty
there.
substantial. It's more than 2,000 square meters, something like that.
It's more than I got. I know that much, and
That's a rough estimate. Don't quote me on that, but I mean, I couldn't walk around it. I mean,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was that.
yeah, that's
that
because you're
big.
old, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I got cramp. So we had to fly a drone around it, didn't we? A drone
a drone.
around
We're all
the
Northern
road.
Irish now.
Yeah, we flew a drone.
Yeah, it's easy with the drone. Let the drone do all the work. That's
Yeah.
what I say.
Yeah, no, they got a series of orange trees there and azeitadas as well, which I forgot not azeitadas. That's a different word entirely. Olive trees. Thank you.
Filmers,
Yeah,
Azeitadas means olives.
Oliveiras.
Oliveiras. There we go.
See,
Yeah.
I thought Ben some Portuguese. I'm happy
Whoa.
now.
I just slipped my mind completely. That did. But yeah, no,
thinking-
it's a very substantial piece of land, and I think it'd be nice tonight, seeing as we're all from. Well, I grew up on the coast of Portugal near São Martinho. Eric lives in Lisbon. You've had, Gaz, your entire experience in central Portugal so far, so I think it'd be a bit of fun. Also, maybe provide people a bit of clarity on where they want to move in Portugal as well, to give our experiences and share a little bit.
great. So how do we do that then? I mean,
We talk about it.
we talk about it.
Strange
Well-
enough, that's what you do.
Without further ado, do you think we should play the interview that we did with Susan? And because I think a lot of the features of Portugal. Tell us about Susan, Ben, and what she's up to and what she's doing.
Well, Susan, we met during the training for IAD, TCI. A part of our training is called TCI2, become a real estate agent here in Portugal. It's all about all the different types of documents you need to buy a house, what can go wrong, when it can go wrong, and how to fix it when it inevitably does go wrong. And we met there. We chatted a little bit ever since. I came up with this idea for a video a while ago, about a month ago, give or take. And it was since then I messaged and I said, hey, look, I'm looking for a property under 200,000. Do you have anything? She had this beautiful house that we're about to showcase now. Things fell into place and we managed to arrange a bit of an interview.
Okay, so just one question to Eric. Yeah, Eric, what can you get for 200K in Lisbon? Is it a cardboard box?
Maybe so. You definitely can't get 2 cardboard boxes for that. Maybe one. Yeah.
So it's a tough call, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the problems, it's a balance, isn't it? I knew, with the amount I came with into Portugal, what I could kind of buy here. And for me, it was just damn good value. I've got a swimming pool, basically a 4-deck house. And
He's got a hotel.
Well, sometimes.
He's got a hotel.
And I often tell people it wasn't until I actually bought it that I suddenly realised what I got, because I found more rooms than I thought I'd got in the first place. So I'm wandering around thinking, actually, this is quite big, isn't it?
Understatement warning.
So yeah, it's an adventure.
And then what did you do? You went and added 800 square meters.
And then I went into the gas bar and cried because
No, he went and bought a property next door, 800 square meters.
Well, not property, it's a field.
Well, a field, yeah. But
But
it's got building.
It has 200 square meters of building permission.
200 square meters,
which is kind of
one
the size of this
huge.
house again. And really,
Yeah,
you could build another one of these if you
know?
wanted to.
So, I mean, these are the things that are available in central Portugal. There's opportunity,
Mhm.
It always reminds me a little bit of the Wild West, and when they were opening up plots of land, etc.
No
There's
gold
gold
rush,
in
though.
there's
No
gold in
rush.
them there hills.
No gold in them hills.
Yeehaw!
Just very large boulders,
Yeah, very large boulders.
as put on Facebook. Right, okay. Would you like me to play this video? Are you
Why
ready?
not?
So,
It's
and who is this, Ben? Can you just reiterate who it is?
That's our friend Susan from IAD, whose last name I won't dare to pronounce because I will butcher it.
Okay, let's have a quick look. Let's have a quick
I
look
do
at this.
apologise. I can't get my tongue around it.
When you compare this as well, T5 for 180,000 here in central Portugal, if we go to Lisbon or to the Algarve, that costs you millions.
It does, yes, it does, and it's not a dingy little place either. You've got most rooms are facing a balcony with a lovely view. They're really generous sizes. Yeah, I think the price is really just. I think it's a really, really good price with all the land you have as well. Gives you lots of possibilities to, either rent it out or live here for large families. inside. It's perfect with 2 bathrooms as well.
Really, and if you really miss the coast, I mean, it's not that long of a drive away in reality.
No, I think, Nazaré is probably an hour and 15. That's where I like to go. I love Nazaré. So it's not really that far away. So you can have, the peaceful living here in the countryside, growing your own vegetables, just enjoy the quiet. And then, if you want to go to the seaside, you can do that too.
It's always an option.
It is perfect. And not to forget the huge living room we have inside. So in winter, when it's too cold to sit out here, you can entertain in there as well.
You have that beautiful log burner in the hallway too, don't you?
Which heats really the whole house. But the living room is so large. With that large dining room table, you can have cracking parties too.
Yeah, there's something quite romantic about having the fireplace and a nice party going on in the background. You got some sort of smooth jazz music, entertaining all your friends.
Oh yes, you're painting a lovely picture. I mean, I love. Actually, I miss not having the fire on because it's such a therapeutic thing to just sit there and watch the flames and the crackling noises. I love the winter here. Can be a little bit wet, but apart from that, it's a nice break from the heat.
Oh, definitely.
Summer brings.
I also like the winters here. They're quite cold. Quite cold, but quite nice.
Not like in the UK though, where it's just.
No. That is bone-chilling cold.
Yeah, exactly, wet to the bones, and I really don't like that. And that's why people really come to Portugal. It's such a lovely lifestyle. You can relax. Most people that arrive, they nearly need a year, I think, to calm down a little bit and adjust to the more relaxed lifestyle. But you really have quality of life here. Yeah,
things definitely go a bit slow. That's not necessarily a bad thing, though, is it?
No.
Make things a bit more relaxed.
I don't think so. But that's why I say it takes you a year to learn that you can just stop with the car wherever you want and you will not be beeped at, and you just have to wait a little bit, but it's a good thing. It teaches us patience.
So
where have they gone? Oh, there they are.
They've taken over.
That was just a quick reiteration of the crew. Yeah, I mean it was a good value property. There was a lot there. It needs a bit of tender loving care and a bit of modernisation, but I mean, boy, you've got a house and another house and a big plot of land there for that sort of money. It's still good value.
So I'd like to ask a question, and this is an open question to the guys here. Central Portugal, who is it for? What type of person is going to thrive in Central Portugal?
That is a good question. I mean, somebody like myself, who I just can't abide cities. I feel encased, enclosed, and almost it kind of panics by the density of population. Here, I can walk out into clean air. I can take mountain walks. I can go through the forest. I can hear birds, and it's a different pace of life. There's no traffic jams. And it's a little bit more community based, a little more intimate, shall I say, and I like that. It's a little bit what I call real Portugal, which is what I came here for. Do
you think there's any lessons that living out here that you've learned?
Yes. I mean, when you come here as a a strangera, it is acutely aware that it's not a rich place for people. There isn't a lot of money around. And you come here and you buy the big house, this, that, right there. And a lot of people, they're quite flashy with it. And to be a bit more modest is advisable. And that's not sounding pompous or over the top. It's just respectful, really. Because it is still quite a poor country out in the rural regions. Yeah. And when you see some of the houses that the older people live in, they are very, very basic. There's not much in the way of facilities.
No central heating.
No central heating.
Sometimes even the floors are, there's no sort of insulation or membrane down to prevent the wet. I mean, they're very basic accommodation, very cold in the winter, open fires, a lot of smoke.
Yeah.
Really, it's like going back, what the 1830s was like
it does,
in Victorian England.
But then you get other places which have been recently built, and the Portuguese don't seem to know what small is as far as houses are concerned. You look at something, you think, yeah, that's quite a nice little place, and then you discover it's a housing estate built on the back, basically. Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is. The small doesn't really exist out here, especially in the rural regions where you've got unlimited space, really.
So that's an advantage. Like the lady that owns that property today, that we filmed, Julie. Yeah, she was a jeweler, and she makes some fantastic jewelry. We're going to go back and do a little bit of a sort of program.
Hopefully, she'll come on the program so we can see
based around that. But she was coming up with some wonderful, wonderful jewelry, and that's the great thing here. I think if you've got artisans, that kind of is the type of person that comes to Central Portugal. Not only people that are looking for a good bargain and a wise and a canny purchase, but also artisans that need that space to do a bit of blacksmithing or to do some pottery or to make jewelry. Because, like you say, that you've got a wealth of rooms available, and why not take advantage? This is the kind of time to do it. And I also think that you get smallholders, guys that want to grow things and. There's an alternative scene here, that you don't find perhaps in Lisbon. I don't know, Eric, how much of an alternative scene do you come across in Lisbon?
Well, my idea of alternative and what you're talking about might be two different things. But I did have a question about the topic that you're speaking about. Do you find a lot of multi-generational family situations in a lot of these homes that you see around where you guys live and things like that?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
because Gary was talking about big houses, right? So generally big houses brings quite a few people. And sometimes that's, grandma and grandpa and mom and dad and a couple of kids and maybe an aunt or uncle and, and everybody kind of lives together. So
I think that's how they evolved. But because lifestyle have changed now and a lot of the youngsters are heading towards the city, you reach a point now where there's a lot of big houses with not many people in them, which causes a bit of a problem for the people looking after it. So hence there's a lot of houses on the market now being sold because they're just too big for they're
unmanageable, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean,
sorry, Ben, I think you're going to say something there.
No, I think you both make very good points. I mean, multi-generational living, that's definitely something that these houses are designed for, really. If you don't mind me going back just a little bit, I thought you were a bit harsh when you say it's like a house built in 1830s England.
No, we only mean
some, not all of them.
Not all of them, right? Yeah. I don't want people to get the wrong end of the stick here, but you would be surprised at you were sort of the range, of households that you get. Some are very affluent, some are very modern, some are very high tech, some are very grand and palatial, and some of them are very humble.
Well, I know there's a house down here, a very old house, and it doesn't have a tile floor. It's still got a clay floor.
Yeah.
So that's the very cheapest end of the market you could probably go to.
That's the range you're dealing with.
And then right up to the super deluxe. So anything's possible here. That's what it is.
And we've been in them, haven't we?
Oh yes, we have.
Well, there is a bit of a stereotype around this area that everyone goes around with oil lamps still, and there isn't much electricity.
Not quite like that, but no. there are places.
But you see what I mean? It's an easy scenario to put in people's heads, and it's a very easy thing to stereotype. When reality, quite a few of the houses here are pretty high quality.
Yes.
Not going to disagree. However, we'll stick to our guns because we have been in a few. Some people would be surprised at the very basic housing because we're talking about the economic position of, say, retired Portuguese, that haven't got a lot of income coming in and they survive. And that's pretty much what they do.
It's amazing how they survive and how tough they are. I mean, my admiration is just unlimited for them. It really is.
Yeah.
And Ben, I'll put that link there. Is that the right one for you to?
Yes, that's the right one. Thank you. I was just going to say as well, I'd sent something in the private chat. If you could, that would be Susan's webpage where you can see all the properties she has for sale and everything. If you're interested in taking a look, we've got some very interesting items out there. It gives you a pretty good idea of what's available in our area as well.
Because she's concentrating in central Portugal, yeah?
Yes, around that kind of Castelo Branco area. Another thing that you touch on as well that I think is true, despite multi-generational living, you make a point of a lot of young people go to the cities. I don't think it's so much a lot of young people go to the cities. There's a lot of young people in Portugal leave the country. It's an aging population currently. Just especially when if you look at the housing market as a whole, not by the particular districts of Portugal, what it's like everywhere. If you look at it as for the entire country, it's a almost hyperinflated market. Just From 2024 2025, the average price of a house went up by 8%. 2023 to 2024, that was 11.6. So, in those 2 years, something's gone up almost 20%. It's absurd. And on a country where the minimum wage is $850 a month, you just can't afford. You can't afford to buy a house here, can you? Really?
Yeah.
So I do think a lot of young people don't necessarily go to the city, but will go to places like Germany and the UK, where the wages are a lot better.
Yeah.
And it is a big problem here as well now, because there's a big lack of skilled workers. It's a whole political issue.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's the answer really for the Portuguese, in your opinion?
If I had the answer, I'd be a politician.
Yeah. Well,
No, I hope you wouldn't be a politician, because your answer would never be employed anyway. So
Exactly.
but that's another subject. Sorry.
That a very truthful subject. Well, I do think that there do need to be more houses built, not more luxury high-end houses, but something more affordable.
Okay, well, give us an idea.
Sorry, do you want to go first?
No, I was just going to say, give us an idea then, if we're looking at the benefits of central Portugal, in terms of land per square meter, yeah, and say you go to the Silver Coast, right? What kind of difference are we talking about between the two regions, roughly?
I don't like making that comparison. I'll be honest with you. The central Portugal is very big, expansive. You get a very large variety of properties here. So measuring land per square meter in central Portugal is kind of pointless, because you've got so many plots of agricultural land. Then you've got, big T5 houses like we talked about. Then you've got big luxury villas and chateaus. So measuring by average price per square meter seems a bit redundant. If you go somewhere like Lisbon, that's built up and a bit more standardized in terms of what houses are available there, then that's a decent way of measuring it, yes. But I don't think it's it won't give you a very accurate idea of what's available here if you measure land that way.
I'm going to play you a little video now. A Vizio from Vizio.
And you're going to make my speech?
Yes, sorry. Well, I've been drinking. Now, have a look at this. Right, I know that the price is somewhere around the 400k mark. Yeah, have a look at this and then tell me an equivalent of what you'd get in your opinion, right? And you don't have to be bang on and exact and accurate. Just kind of give me a comparison between something that's on the Silver Coast, a big coastal region that's shot up in. I think it's gone up 100% over the last 5 years to me personally, and I've lived there, you've lived there, and contrast that with what you could get for the same amount in central Portugal.
Okay, let's take a look at this video.
We'll play the video.
Okay, have a look at this guy. Okay, there it is. Coastal, wonderful area, Cilha de Porto, very near San Martino, very up and coming area. Not bad at all.
It's a developing area currently, definitely.
Still, yeah, it's a bit of a shadow of San Martino, but now it's kind of shining and it's in the sunlight. Looking at that, right? What you going 400k in your pocket? What are you going to get out in central Portugal?
Can I just Zoe? I can see you. You are here. I can see. I'll bring you on in just a minute. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I mean, we've just showcased a property that's 5 bedrooms for literally half the price. I mean, you can get 2 houses here for the same price as that, although it might not be a great idea. I do think one of the measures they'll introduce in the future here in Portugal is a higher tax on second homes to counteract the inflating market. But that's me. That's a bit of a far-fetched theory.
Right. So, you could see that it was a T3. Yeah, you got 2 bathrooms. It was modern.
You're in a developing area as well. I mean, I just so happen to be familiar with this house. I've gone to see it in person as well. Adelia, the woman who's selling it, works with me at IID Portugal too. And it's in a neighborhood where, oddly enough, that one's a pretty good price compared to everything else in the neighborhood. I've seen houses very similar to that, also T3s with a pool and everything in the background going for 600,000.
Wow.
Just a 2-minute walk away.
Yeah.
Now, I've got a question. Do you think that sort of setup has the same level of community that you have out here in central Portugal?
You strike a very good point there, because I feel at the moment we get, would you say kind of Portuguese community or expat community?
That's
I think
a good
there's a bit of another divide, because there's a very big expat community
on the
in
coast.
on the
It'd be an
coast.
expat community.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Here
Which
in
is very
central Portugal, it seems like people tend to be a bit more, I don't want to say integrated, but there's a bit more of a mix
Yeah.
people socializing together. Like if you go on a night out and you go to a bar somewhere in Nazaré or Martinho, you'll kind of notice you have your table of Brits or your table of French people, your table of Americans is kind of sitting there talking amongst themselves, and then the Portuguese are all somewhere else. Whereas here it seems to be a little bit more of a mélange.
Yeah. A bit more of a blancmange.
So yeah, I mean, obviously some big differences there, and it's down to personal taste. But my footnote on this that I've noticed in my area and probably in general central Portugal is I'm noticing a lot more properties are now being sold, and there is a lot more different types of voices entering the area, especially a lot of Americans, a lot of English-speaking voices, the odd occasional sort of Belgium or French, and I've noticed South Africans. So you are starting to get a bigger blend, but I don't think they actually affect the area in which they live so much, which I'm a big sort of supporter.
Can I ask a question? Can I put it to Eric? Eric, in Lisbon, what's 400k going to get you if you've got it in the old skyrocket pocket?
Nothing like that. It's a difficult subject to talk about because Lisbon is just skyrocketed, right? And it's really becoming a hot button topic in a lot of ways in the country. There's a lot of different components to it now. I know that as long as I want to live in the center of Lisbon as I do now, I will never, ever be able to afford to buy anything. So one of the conditions of me staying in this part of the country is I will be a renter forever. With that being said, that property that you just showed, I could move into that property tomorrow, except it's not in the right place.
Yeah.
The way that was laid out, the way, that is like perfect for me. Something like that would also go well right now, I think, on the South Bank, like just south of the river from where I'm at now. All of that type of housing could do very well down there as well, because there's a lot of people that can't afford to live to buy a place here. Right now, the South Bank is affordable, which it won't be for a very long time.
It's kicking off down
because it's going to kick up too.
Right, gentlemen, I think we've kept our.
This is my favourite part of the night now.
Yeah,
Go for it.
We kept our other guests waiting long enough, and I don't want
With
to
deep respect to Eric.
Yes.
No,
I'm going to bring Zoe on just because I don't like leaving anybody back there thinking they've been ignored. And the lady I've been wanting to meet, how you doing?
Hey.
Great to meet you. Oh, we've got a little bit of a problem with your sound. You sound a bit like Mickey Mouse at the moment. I'm not sure what's happening there.
No, that's
an unusual one. It's very high pitched and a bit clicky.
it's a bit helium.
Yeah, a bit helium.
Yeah,
Helium.
you're
The
a little
cable
bit-
for the headset might not be plugged in properly. Try giving it a twist, maybe. No, that didn't work.
No.
Try re-signing back in again, Zoe. Go
Yeah.
out and come back in again. Sometimes that works.
Yeah. We'll see you in 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
And while she does that, Ben, do you want to just finish up with what your where you want to go with that?
What's the takeaways from tonight? What's the message that you want to give to people about Central Portugal?
Well, the message I was hoping to put across is it's an area of the country that often gets neglected, and there are plenty of great deals to be had here. And I think over the years, we're definitely going to see an increase in the expat community here as well, because like Eric says, places like central Lisbon, even the south bank of Lisbon, we showcase Salir do Porto, everywhere along the Silver Coast is going to just get more expensive, more expensive, more expensive. And, you know, I think there's some great deals to be had over here in central Portugal where we are as well. And if you really yearn for the coast, it's only an hour's drive away, sometimes less. It's not that much of a sacrifice to make.
And this is
Should be told, you guys caught me a little off guard with the price of those homes. The ones that you just showed, beautiful places, but I didn't realize that properties were already going, for that type of money right there.
Mhm.
So.
Silver Coast.
Silver Coast is doubled in value
Yeah.
over the last 5 years, I would think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
250% increase in the last 5 years.
So it's like everybody
How much-
speaks about Lisbon and how the prices have increased, but the same is happening in where you guys are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's a lot of it is down to Americans.
I think so. Right, we're going to try Zoom again.
Okay, so
Yes.
it's a normal now.
Yes.
Big deep breath there.
Well done, Zoe.
Zoe, thank you for joining us. It's been very kind of you to come on, and I was amazed by your work, and I'll just have to share it, I'm afraid, because you're awesome. You're totally awesome. You really are. And I know you're going to be doing the Amigos market. Is it this weekend?
I think it's this
It's
weekend.
this weekend,
You were telling
isn't
me it was.
Yeah, I think it's this weekend. So people will be able to see you in the flesh, hopefully, and you'll be able to tell them person to person about what you do. But where are you actually based?
I'm based in central Portugal.
Yes.
Just let me think about where actually I'm near Tomar.
Yeah, which is a beautiful place in itself, isn't it, Tomar? It's a great place.
Yes.
It's full of history and I always think it's quite a romantic sort of place. It always kind of emotionally moves me when I go there. It's got something kind of magical, mystical about it. So I love Tomar. I'm a big Tomar fan.
But
Nice. Where are you in Portugal?
We're at Alveazra, which is just a little bit up the road from where you are.
Ah, yeah, nice.
But Zoe, what does Tomar have for a 15-year-old lady? 15-year-old girl. What does it offer?
Well, not too much, I would think. At least not for people who are not really integrated in the official school system. But there is gymnastics there, which I used to do, and I absolutely loved it. So that was enough for me until I broke my ankle. But yeah.
Okay. Well, can you take us through what you do, how you do it, and what your kind of main influences are? Tell people a little bit about your art and how you go about it.
So I do realistic portraits with graphite and charcoal of portraits of people. I have some of my work here. I have no idea if it's going to be visible with, considering it's quite dark in the room behind me.
I'll give you full screen, Zoe, so to put a bit more detail. Oh, no, that's not us. Sorry.
No, that's us.
That's us. Hang on a minute. Where are you? There you go. There you go.
There you go.
Thank you. Let me just go turn on the light real quick because...
Okay. All right. That'd be good. So yeah, I mean, we've seen a couple of these.
I have seen
Yeah.
them on a Facebook page, and
Yeah.
you're going to be absolutely amazed by these.
Yeah, because you're a bit of a genius, we think.
Yes, we think you're a bit of a genius on the quiet. So go on, let's
Number one, let's have a look.
Let's see some of your work.
Okay.
Oh. Wait a sec, I lost my headphones.
Don't worry, we're here. We're good.
It's
We're
gonna
fine.
be complicated.
Well,
Okay.
take your time. There's no rush. Everything's fine.
Okay, a
You
little
guys
higher.
actually-
A bit,
I
up
can't
Up
see
a
my-
bit. There you
Up a
go.
bit.
Look at that.
Now, come on, ladies and
Tell
gentlemen.
me about this portrait.
So this portrait is just the first portrait, well, one of the first portraits I ever did. It's of a friend of mine, an online friend of mine. Just for practice, nothing particularly special. I did this only with graphite.
That's just graphite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And,
So you're very, very tonally inspired. Yes.
yeah, I would say so. Since I'm doing realistic art, I have to reflect lights and shadows. Otherwise,
Yeah.
the subject doesn't
Yeah.
look realistic.
Yeah. No, but realism is very important to you. Tell me about you how important realism is to you.
Well, yeah, it's the most important thing to me. That if the subject doesn't look realistic, then I've failed to capture what I was trying to capture.
That is always the thing with a portrait, isn't it? That it's actually getting the portrait to look like them. And some people have the image of themselves, and when they see themselves, they think, "Oh, that's not me." But generally, I would think probably most of your customers are extremely happy with what you produce for them. So that's not going to be a problem for you, is it?
I mean, one of the
So
one
far,
of the
no, it hasn't yet.
one of the problems I've had, because I did start life out as a bit of a portrait painter, was is how much style to put in over content, and the major important factor was accuracy. Now, I always found it quite difficult if you did a very accurate portrait of a woman. They're never very happy. They're a tough audience. They've always wanted, like, is my nose really that? I don't think my nose is that big. And underneath my chin, I don't think I've got that heavy shadow. But then they never come out and say that to start with. They always go, do you like it? And and it's, well, yeah, sort of, yeah. But you never can really pin it down. And I found that quite hard to deal with. How do people feel when you go da-da and you give them the portrait? What are the kind of reactions you get from people?
So far, I haven't really had that many clients, but between people who I've gifted portraits and people who I've sold portraits to, they've all been happy with my work. But I've never drawn a portrait of a woman who's given me that sort of problems. So
It will happen.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think with that sort of work, it will happen. Have you got any more there, please, Zoe?
Yeah,
We see some more,
So
because I've been really looking forward to this.
I'm going to give you full screen
Oh,
again.
look at that.
Oh, I
I
think
recognize that.
That's the Lord of the Rings, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's his name?
it's
yeah.
Legolas. Legolas from the Lord of the
Legolas,
Rings.
yeah.
That is.
This-
And is that still charcoal, or is that charcoal pencil, or what?
No, this is just graphite. Initially, I only used graphite because that's what was the most easily accessible tool.
Yep.
Initially, only later I realized that charcoal has a lot of benefits.
Yeah, keep showing us some more if you've got some. We'll keep.
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
We'll keep eating these.
Keep whacking them up. Bit higher, please,
Just
kid.
a little higher.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
I did this
Look at the
whole
lighting
series
on
of
that.
Lord of the Rings drawings.
The tonal range on that is superb.
I mean, that is stunning. That is
Yeah.
stunning work. It really is.
And also remember that we're watching these, or we're seeing these through a sort of sheet of plastic. So
And they're still looking
amazing.
So my question is, I mean, how did you learn to draw like this? How do you produce that sort of work?
So I started by literally just following YouTube tutorials. I saw a couple tutorials and I kind of learned the basics from there. And then I just started practicing and experimenting using a reference I found on the internet, myself as a reference, things like that. I eventually bought better supplies and especially better paper, because initially I was using typical printing paper, which really does not help, and just average pencils. But yeah, now I have better equipment and better ways of blending, and then I just kept practicing. I learned how to find good reference photos, which is obviously something I didn't know at the start. And I learned more about individual textures like hair. I used to struggle a lot with the hair.
Yeah,
Wow.
I still struggle with hair.
It's because he hasn't got any anymore. That's why. Are you getting some good comments coming in here? My friend Joel up there in Porto, he said, "Damn, that looks really good."
Oh, yeah, I'm seeing it now.
Damn, that
That's
looks
good.
good.
And he's a Portuguese man, and
Yeah.
they can be tough cookies sometimes. Bob and Viv say, "Yep, agreed." Milhages, phenomenal.
Thank you.
He's obviously a fan. And I know that he likes the old sci-fi
He
genre.
does. He likes that type of imagery, doesn't
If
he?
if you ever did something like Star Trek for him, I think it would go into literal overdrive.
Would you really know what Star Trek is,
Yeah,
though?
probably yes.
I've heard of it. I don't really
You've
know what
heard
it
of
is.
it in the long distant
in the-
eons of time.
Gary, can I ask a quick question?
Certainly
Sure.
can, sir.
The first picture that you showed us that you drew, how long did that actually take you? That portrait that you did of the younger lady there?
I think it was 20 hours, something like that.
Because that was amazing. So, and
It is.
and from the sounds of what you're telling us, you're largely self-taught. You don't really have an instructor, a formal, anything like that. That is amazing. So,
Thank
Is
you.
it just people you do, or do you do anything else like animals or anything like that?
No, so far I've only done people.
So-
I've been drawing for 2 years now.
Hard place to start.
I
Isn't
think it's very brave as well of you, you know, because you can do a landscape, you can do all sorts of stuff, you know, you can do abstract stuff, but really the test of your skills can be really framed in a portrait. You know, I don't want to make too many puns there, but you know, people can go, it looks nothing like her, or it doesn't. You run the risk, you know, you stick your chin out to be hit every time, you know, especially when people are paying a lot of money for portraits and that type of thing. So your accuracy looks phenomenal. Do you always work from photographs, or do you ever work from life?
Only photographs so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think to achieve that level of accuracy, you've got to use a fair amount of printed media in what you do. Do you ever fancy doing anything from life?
I could eventually, but I don't think it's really in my interest right now.
Yeah.
I have a particular project going on at the moment, and then I would like to expand to drawing animals and stuff. Well,
Mhm.
animals in particular, and landscapes I don't know, but animals, yeah.
What in particular would attract you to draw animals? What's the pull?
I think it's the next step kind of from drawing faces, and I can see it as something that people might be interested in. Like someone might want a drawing of their dog or their cat.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's another thing that I've done a fair amount of is when people say, I'd love a painting of my dog. Now, I used to think to myself in a kind of whiffy sort of way that, dogs, you know, do I really want to do them? But really, the reaction you get out of people when you give them something that they treasure, you know, a loved creature, it's phenomenal. They really go to town, and you can get a great sense of, you know, just love for what you've done, which you don't really ever get so much out of a landscape unless it's a really fabulous sort of favorite landscape. So, although I found that quite rewarding, and it surprised me. Did you feel the same way, or is it different for you?
No, definitely, it's always the most gratifying moment when you give somebody a portrait of something they love.
What do you think your kind of best compliment has been?
I'm sorry, the cat's got
Yeah,
in.
we're fading up some animal noises in the background. I don't know whether you can hear the cats.
The cat has invaded the studio, I'm afraid, and it's very vocal.
It's hungry. So,
Mm,
what do you say?
why did I forget the question? What's the best reaction? So probably it was on the second portrait I did, which was of a young girl who I know, who is the daughter of my dad's mechanic, and her dad the girl who I drew, her dad started kind of crying when he saw the portrait because he liked it so much,
how
and so
beautiful.
that was probably the best direction I've ever had.
That's
It was
amazing.
very touching.
It's brilliant when you can touch people's hearts in that way.
Mm.
So, I mean, it's such a great gift you have.
Can we trouble you with some more? Just another couple.
Yeah.
You've got us really
No problem, no
hooked.
problem.
Reading us in.
Hopefully you don't mind all the
I'm
Lord of the
gonna put
Rings.
you
I was
full
really in that.
Full screen
I'm going to
again.
go full screen
Bit
again.
higher, if you can manage. Yeah, a bit
Oh,
lower.
that's
no.
okay.
Higher.
There you go.
Right,
There
there.
you go. I
Look
mean,
at that.
those.
Yeah.
Look at those.
Yeah. Tell me about the graphite technique. What is it that? Oh, look, yeah, I recognise
Good
that.
hair on that.
Yeah. What is
So
it about
it's-
graphite that really does it for you, as opposed to normal pencils? What's graphite got?
Well, what do you mean by normal pencils?
Well, okay, when I say normal pencils, you know, you get your HB, your 5B, and all of that, right? They're not always graphite pencils, are they? Your graphite is you get those graphite sticks, you know. Admittedly, you get them in 5B, 6B, etc. But I always feel that when the higher the graphite content, the more glassy, more sort of smooth, and you can move it around a bit more than a pencil, just a normal sort of, you know, grade pencil.
I use graphite pencils.
Right. Okay.
That's what I use to do
And
my
you
art.
find-
The vast majority of pencils are.
Do you ever use those graphite sticks?
I've never heard of a graphite stick.
No,
Sorry.
my apologies. Okay.
That's old school.
It's old school. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
that went out with Van Gogh.
So cheeky.
So, Zoe, obviously you're up for doing commissions, and so you should, because they are beautiful things. How would somebody contact you to arrange a commission?
So somebody can contact me via email, or via any of my social media. I have Instagram, I have Facebook. I don't have a website yet, but yeah, I have YouTube as well. But obviously, you can't contact me through there. So yeah, I'd say Instagram, Facebook, or email.
So if I get those at a later date and share them to the Facebook group, the Central Portugal, or you could do it. I mean, I think you've got access to that now.
Yeah.
Put your links up there so people can see your work and get in contact with you. And also, as we previously mentioned, you're going to the Amigos event, so people can come there and actually see your work there live in front of them. And I'm sure they're going to be astonished at the quality of it.
Will you be working live?
Sorry.
Will you be working live?
No, I won't be. As I said, I would need all my equipment to work live, and that requires me to take a lot of stuff to there to be working live, including a computer and stuff like that. Because
So if somebody was coming along to see you, yeah, what kind of advice would you give them? Do they need to bring photographs or sort of an outline of what they want? What would be your kind of perfect client?
So if somebody came to me, they would ideally have a photo. They would ideally bring a photo, ideally multiple, in fact, that are high quality. It's really important to have a high quality photo, obviously, which means usually that if you zoom in on the photo, it doesn't get blurry.
Mm-hmm.
That would mean it's a low quality photo. So yeah, multiple high quality photos, ideally, that are kind of high contrast. So the darks are very dark and the lights are very light. That helps make a drawing look really stand out.
Yeah, I mean, do you use any kind of software to enhance an image before you draw it?
Sometimes I do, yeah. When the image is altogether too gray, sometimes I do.
Yeah, so that increases the contrast for you, so you can pick out light and dark with a little bit more impact.
Yeah, like on this. Wait, let me. Yeah, this drawing
Go
here
full
is.
screen.
Just give me
Look at this.
give me a chance. Just to,
This is
This is really, really unfortunately covered by the plastic.
no, we can see. We can see. Still see it.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a great gift. I mean, you know, that's a life moment captured there, and
You just put it on your wall, wouldn't you, forever?
yeah, I mean, that is just fabulous. I mean, it's a great photograph to start with, but I think you kicked it on. You know, it's always an interesting concept for me. Okay, so you get a photograph, but what do you do with a photograph? Kind of like make it more personal, but even better.
Well, I think with a drawing like that, you get something you just don't get from a photograph. You get the essence of the person that did it. You know what I mean? You get a touch of their style, their class. So it's more than just a photograph. Do you understand?
I do. It's really one of the things that I always, it's a challenge because I do have to work from photographs myself a lot of the time. And it's how you take that photograph and push it into something other than a photograph. Now you're doing it with obviously a black and white sort of high contrast interpretation, which gives it a kind of timeless quality. Looking at what you do, you know, it could have been done 100 years ago or now, and which I think is good. It's a good quality to have. But you're always asking yourself as an artist, what can I add, or should I add anything? Because quite often people come to me and they say, well, can you do me a portrait of, and they've got a lovely photograph. I'm doing photography myself. I often turn around to them and say, well, why do you want a portrait? You've got a lovely photograph. You know, you
just get something more from it. I don't know how
it's
to
got
put
a
that
soul.
into words. It's got a soul. Your drawing gets a soul, I think.
Yeah,
it's a little piece of you, isn't it?
I think so. Have you got any feelings about that? What do you say to people when they say, well, I could just have a photograph? What would your perspective on that be?
Well, nobody's said that to me yet, so I haven't really thought out an answer. Also, because I don't really know myself. I've never experienced what you are saying about basically a drawing having a soul. I mean, obviously, my drawings have a bit of my soul. They have a bit of my time, a lot of my time, which automatically makes me like them, I suppose. But I've been kind of struggling lately with that, with feeling like I'm actually an artist and not just like a printer.
Yeah.
Well, here's an interesting comment in the Bob and Viv household. I think there's a bit of debate going on because one of them said that looks like a photograph, which is in almost a compliment in itself.
No, that is a compliment
because that, you know, a photograph it's often very perfect. But the other part says I would take Zoe's portrait over a photograph any day.
Yeah.
So, you know, I kind of reinforces what I'm saying there.
No, I think when people say that looks like a photograph, I used to think, well, what was the point of me doing a painting if it looks like a photograph? We're back to square one again.
Yeah.
But really, that they are using sort of, I suppose, slightly awkward terminology to give you a compliment because their sort of understanding of art is how realistic it is, and it's a compliment. But I never used to take it like that. I used to get it.
Well, I'm just thinking right now that from your artistic point of view, and this is a very, very personal question to you. If you look at Ben on your right there, could you do anything with him? Could you make him a bit better?
Phantom of the Opera.
Very dramatic lighting tonight, definitely.
If you send you a good photo, could you make him look brilliant?
Well, it kind of depends on the photo and depends on the pose, I suppose. It's easier to do something artistic if the person or subject anyway is already in a kind of inspiring pose.
Yeah, give us an inspiring
pose.
Right
now, I suppose I could make it look.
I'll look over into the distance like that.
It's very Caravaggio.
I think I could make something good out of that. He already has very good contrast between his hair and his face because his face is quite pale in comparison to his hair. So, sorry, I don't mean to say anything bad with that. I can only make the eyes really dark and the eyebrows
we just have a bit
really dark.
We have a bit of fun.
Possibly remove the headphones, and that's what I do.
I think it's the time of night when we come down to brass tacks. Yeah,
I think so.
When looking at the portraits that you've done, what do you actually charge? What kind of price structure do you have?
So I still need to go over this with my dad, who knows business much better than I do. But normally I charge by the hour, and I'll go with something around between €10 an hour to €12 an hour, which usually ends up to be a couple hundreds, like 200, 250 for a normal sized portrait.
Is this Dad behind you, by the way?
Yes.
Hi, Dad. I know you can't hear us because you've got your own head.
He's gone.
Well, I'm not going to argue with him because he looks a bit of a big fella.
Yeah. It certainly does, doesn't he? But no, I'd say that's good. I think that's a good place to be in terms of your price, if you don't mind me saying so. And I think Pete's making a great point here. Solar Life Portugal, Pete, great composure, Zoe.
I think it's composition. It should be.
Is that no?
No, it should be composition. Great.
Probably great composition, Zoe, with a busy background and a real skill. Nice to see you, Joel.
Now you see Joel, who is obviously instantly a fan.
Yeah,
he's Star Trek Next Generation and the Enterprise.
He's a tough customer.
I think if you did him a picture of any one of the characters there, that would definitely go up on the wall. Definitely go up on the wall. Eric, have you got any more questions? Anything to say? We're hogging the microphone here, so.
No, I don't have any questions. I just think that what Zoe's doing is pretty amazing. If I could ask, I'll ask one question. Hopefully, it's probably not a short answer. What initially got you involved in wanting to do what you do?
So I've kind of always been drawing, but I'm not always realistically, but I have always been drawing. And eventually I decided just to go into it more seriously and sort of see what would come out of it. It wasn't really any sort of epiphany that I had or anything like that. I just decided to do it kind of and see what would happen.
Okay. Well, good luck to you going forward. You're off to a great start.
Yeah. Amazing.
A couple of more comments. Would you like to take the comments here?
Well, if I can read them, because I have to come quite close to the screen with my eyes the way they are.
Yeah.
This is Bob and Viv again in Portugal.
Bob and Viv, definitely.
Totally meant as a compliment. We're talking about the the photographic quality of your work. The beauty and personality of Zoe's work takes it far beyond what a photograph can provide. And I couldn't agree with him more. And Vivian says, remarkable.
Absolutely remarkable.
Yeah, I'd say that's true.
I think pretty much
Yeah.
so. I think A Star is Born, definitely tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
And as is the mission on this program, we try and help people like you. We try and publicize them and get your products, your work, your craft out there into the environment. So if anybody's watching this, please come along to Amigos event on Saturday. Do you know what time it starts, Zoe? I'm a little bit behind on this one.
I think it's 10 a.m. 10 a.m.
Okay.
Okay, where is Amigos again?
Amigos is just outside of Alviasra.
Where is Alviasra?
We are in the centre of Portugal between Tomar and Coimbra.
Marvellous.
But
About 30 kilometres north of Tomar.
Yes.
Tomar.
But if you look on the Central Portugal connection site, I'm sure it's going to be advertised on there, and all the directions and etc. will be on that page.
Now, can we ask Zoe how her Portuguese is coming along?
Yes, I think we always ask this.
Yeah. How long have you been here, Zoe?
I've been here for 4 years, and my Portuguese is kind of okay, I'd say. It's definitely not native level, but it's all right. I can communicate on most things.
So, you're 15, correct?
Yes.
What would your advice be to other 15-year-olds trying to learn Portuguese here?
That's kind of hard advice to give because I basically learned Portuguese. First, I learned through a website online, and then I actually learned how to speak the language with locals by when I made a friend at gymnastics. She basically taught me how to speak the language. So I can't exactly give the advice. Make a friend.
Make a friend.
Yeah, friends are always good.
Yeah.
Shame I haven't got any, but there you go.
Sadly, none of my friends speak Portuguese very well, except for Ben.
Yeah, but he's lived most of his life here.
He's lived most of his life here.
He lived most of his
Yeah.
life.
I cheated, yeah.
Ben, have you got any advice to Zoe to sort of help her along?
Integrate, socialize, make friends that speak Portuguese. You're on the right path.
Yeah.
It becomes part of your daily routine. It just comes easy.
Yeah.
Zoe, just one final question, and you don't have to answer this because it's. But obviously, you came to Portugal how long ago? Did you say
4 years?
4 years.
And where did you come from?
I came from Canada.
Canada. That's very different, isn't it? That's a very different move.
Definitely, yeah.
There is quite a lot of Canadians over here now,
Oh, nice.
but I suppose there are similar parts of Canada in terrain and valleys, rivers, lakes up here in central Portugal.
I mean, if you go to, what is it, Fragas do Simão,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's very Canadian-esque, if there's such a word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Northern
there's-
California, so that.
Yeah, I always think that a lot of Portugal really does remind me of, like you say, Northern California, in terms of the aromas, the light, the pink light that you get, the sort of the vegetation and the trees. So it's not that far removed from Canada. Of course, it all depends exactly where you came from, but I do find quite a big similarity between California, even going further north to Oregon, etc., and Portugal. Has that struck you at all?
No, not at all. I lived in a different part of Canada, or at least I lived in many places in Canada, but the place I remember
Yeah.
the most is Alberta.
Alberta,
So,
right?
yeah.
Okay. So
That's
what are the
absolutely
what's the
nothing like
main
Portugal.
differences between Alberta and living here?
It's hot.
It's a lot hotter.
Very hot.
Sorry, what?
What are the main differences between life in Alberta and life that you lead now, based around Tomar?
So, the weather is very different. Where I lived, it was southern Alberta, pretty close to the border with the US. And it was like hot and dry in the summer. It was always really dry. In Portugal, it's always really wet, or humid anyway. And in the winter, there'd be like 7 months of just tons and tons of snow, which is obviously nothing we get here. It was also windier there and flatter. The landscape was all just really flat, while here there's loads of hills. The smells I find are also different. In Alberta, there's much less smells. Here in Portugal, there's always something you can smell in the air.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Observation.
You talk about aromas.
Aromas. I
Yeah.
suppose there's a different variety of plants and stuff, isn't it? Trees. So
I tell you what always amazes me, and I don't know whether you've ever noticed this, is the amount of wild flowers there are here.
Yeah.
When you get like a field that's left fallow, so it just grows naturally, and how like nature invades that field, and there's just massive bursts of colour.
There is a good little point. Like, Bob, who was from originally or lived in Colorado, he came here to central Portugal, but he thinks it's better.
Well, that'd be interesting to find out.
And he thinks
what way?
it's much warmer than anywhere in Canada. I'm thinking Alberta is beautiful and cold in the winter, which is kind of what you said there, really, wasn't it?
Definitely,
Yeah.
Negative 40 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So, can I ask you, where do you think you're going to take your art now? I mean, what's your ambition? What's next in your sort of on your horizon to develop? You got any sort of ambitions in that direction?
So for now, I'm still going to be open for commissions and trying to get commissions when I can. But in the meantime, I'm going to be working on this other project, which is basically I've become recently a fan of K-pop, and I realized that some people like to sell these photo cards of the artists of K-pop, and I thought, what if I dropped my headphone? And I thought, what if I made photo cards, but I drew them? So
Yeah.
I'm doing that so far, and I bought a laminator and stuff, and I'm going to see if I can make copies and attempt to sell them via Etsy and things like that. I think that might be actually more profitable than commissions, because it's really hard to find clients.
Yeah, that's a thing. But I mean, I often think it's about being known and getting accepted. And quite often, if you do one piece of work for someone, it's an advert, because it's always on show. It's always on a wall, in someone's house or wherever, in an office. And you get other people look at what you do and they go, naturally, oh, I wouldn't mind one of those. I could do this. This would make an ideal present for my daughter. And that's how a lot of it kind of just grew for me, was just people recognizing what you do, and they see it hanging on a wall, and friends are friends, they chat, and it builds like that. So you just need more. It obviously, especially out here, it's difficult trying to find the level of contacts that you need. But I think join the Facebook page, and come back on the show and show us your progress.
Okay.
You're more than welcome to be a friend of the show.
Yeah.
And come back and show us, what other works you do, your plans, where you'll be, what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's what we're all about.
All right,
That's
thank
what we're
you.
here to do.
When will the next meeting be?
We do one every week, but you're welcome to come on anytime you want.
Okay.
I'll keep sending the links out. I'll post it on the Facebook group every week. Drop by, have a look. If you want to come in and say something, that's fine. If you've got your hands full and being busy, fine. That really doesn't matter. But my project now is to get people to come down to Amigos and actually see you in person and look at the work.
Yeah. And also send us some photographs of what you're doing, so we can keep a bit of an update, and we can say, look, this month Zoe's
Good point.
been doing this, and look at the standard, etc. And we don't mind showing people, and it's all good content. So don't hold back. Take a decent photograph of what you're doing, send it to us, and we're happy to show it.
We're here to help.
We're here to help.
All right, thank you.
Ghostbusters.
Now then, I normally, and I've never done it yet, aim for an hour for this program, and I've never ever managed an hour. But when you've got a person like you on, who's got such great work, it just goes on, and I can't, sort of cut it short.
Yeah.
But okay, guys and ladies, thank you very much for all your input.
I think we should give her a round of applause before she goes. Yeah,
Oh,
Zoe, this is for you, kid.
Thank you.
And we'll see you at the weekend. Well, I will see you at the weekend. I think you're out and busy, aren't you? So
Yeah.
most definitely. So yeah, guys, thank you for joining us. Thanks for your input. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
I hope you guys out there. And if you're watching on catch up, make sure you share this program to everybody else. That is my that's my theory for
Brilliant advice, bro.
For the week. So we'll leave it there, shall we? And take it back to our little outro video. I'll hopefully see you guys again soon, somewhere along the line. Everybody take care.
See you next week.